Okay, my outstandingly wonderful friends, atomically intelligent friends, it all comes down to this. We're finally to the bottom line. Muons and electron showers. Muon neutrinos, electron neutrinos. They come in as a pair, which is a black ball and a white ball, and when they concuss in what's called Cherenkov radiation, which is when they hit another medium, the white ball explodes into showers, the black ball stays black. That's your muon, there's your electron showers. Fermilab apparently can't find these. I can show you them right now. All right, it's very, very simple. Light is a particle. This is literally light. That is the particle of light. It is a photon. It consists of two electrons. Electrons are not simply negative particles. They have a dark side. So that's the net electron we always thought was just an explosive, white, glowing, interactive particle. It is not. It is, well, it is, but it's also attached to dark matter, which is the muon. I'm going to explain it all. Don't get crazy. Now, where did that particle come from? It came from this red laser. And where was it? It was way back here, but because it has a magnetic field around it, it presented a wave in front of it because it's just like a ball going through the air. And this is the interaction zone, which is the magnetic field abrupt transition that crushes into all the other magnetic particles that are in the air, which everything else that exists has electrons. So these electrons glow according to the push of that. Now, and according to the color of the push. And the color of the push is related to the distance it resided away from the electron, the atomic nucleus when it was ejected. And we're going to talk about that because that talks about all the different colors we see in the spectrum. Now, we can obviously see that was not accelerating, and we can obviously see it is now accelerating. And the particle I showed you is right there, and it is zip, pulling out of that wave just like a jet fighter, and it is doing that because of this Venturi. Now, the Venturi literally separates what we just saw, the black and white ball, that was entering the Venturi, and this is just as it enters the Venturi. And this is the only time you can see it in this configuration. You never can see it this way. It doesn't show up. And in the next frame here, it explodes. Now, when it goes through the Venturi, it literally separates. And here it is right here. That's the Venturi. That's the black and white ball, only the black stuff is staying away, and the white stuff is just going crazy, exploding into extreme 100% energy. Then the black instantly comes back into it. Now, that's for light, that is a very, very short time frame. So it's back instantly. Now, if we could put a harvest plate right in there, we should be able to get free energy. This is an increased energetic value from what it was back here. Approximately 200 times is what they claim. If that's correct, that's fine. If we could use half of that to resend more through, we still have half extra to use for whatever we want to use it for. Now, this is electron flood theory. It explains virtually everything because they miss the fact that the nucleus is made of electrons. An electron is nothing more than one of those black and white balls together, which makes it a dipole. When you turn them into a snowball, this is what happens. All right? That's what happens. Now, I just made this very, very crude. This is an extremely crude doodle. That's the electron. You have a black side and a white side, or, whatever color. Let's just go black and white. Now, the black side, nobody's ever seen it before. We never knew that it was attached to the electron. Nobody had a clue about it. We just saw it was attached and it separated. That was just, there's no real big discussion about that. So we know that a photon was shaped like this, and we know we could separate these particles. And what I have determined now is that the dark side will always push away. They don't mind being next to each other, so they will congregate to the center in the nucleus, and they will be surrounded by the white particles, which are the energetic particles. Now, at a certain point, the black and the white neutralize. There's enough white ones on the black ones that they will not allow any more white ones to come in against them. That is what creates your orbitals. And it will stack up depending upon how succulent the black is, because that's gravity. The black is a gravity. You can see it wants nothing more than to be attached back to the white. That's its total mission in life. And when this thing separates, it says, please, please, please come back to me. And they just reattach right there. That's the demarcation line. Now, and again, this is the harvest. We'd have to have a harvest plate right here. It'd very be simple to figure out how far away to get it, where you're going to get the most impact value or whatever. That's somebody, a bean counter, to figure that out. It's very, very simple to do. You just accelerate the light and you harvest what comes through, just like a solar panel. I'm not making any big leaps into the future here. We're just taking what is available and using it. Now, so this you wouldn't see the black center. You would just see a white core, because the black would go in the center and all the white ones would always surround everything. And they do right now. There's nothing that doesn't have electrons on the surface. The surface will always be electrons, because they will push away from each other as quick as they can to get away. They're still attached to the black balls, but every one of the white ones is going to try to get away. And that leaves a lot of extra spaces, and that's why they say there's a lot of extra dark matter in the universe that they never could figure out where it is. Well, it's in the spaces in between where the white matter is pushing each other away, and a black one jumps in these little holes here and there. Now, here's what happens, why we get colors. All right. Colors are the spin, and the faster the spin, the darker the color, down to blue, and then you come all the way out to red. And that's just a matter of literally flicking the electron off of there, and when it goes, it spins. Now, that's all I can determine. Now, again, this is a lot of work to do here. This is brand new. This is something I've been working on for 50 years, but I could never get anywhere near this until Rod Warren showed me some pictures he did. He was just playing around, and he created a Venturi and used a laser, and it came out like this. That's what happened. And he was gracious enough to work with me for years on experiments to show, well, to try to demonstrate the things I was asking him. Can you do this? Can you do that? And he did. And he came out, and now he's doing some absolutely fabulous work. It's nothing anybody understands, so he's being avoided. And but there's a whole new realm of light research now that we know, or we understand. I understand electron flood theory extremely well, and it's just nothing. It's just as simple as it could be. These, you stand in front of like some of these people. They got doodles coming out of their ears. I even have doodles. I showed them all the time. But what it's down to now is that E equals mc squared. No, it's mass is energy. Mass equals the energy. All right, so back to this again. Now, mass is energy. All right, light is the color of the mass. How fast it's spinning and going through the air, impacting with all the molecules in the air, gives you the light. And it's a matter of, the color of the light is a matter of the mass of the particle and the impact, which gives another spinner that is going to be one of these colors. Now, so the mass is energy. There's no c-squared business, because light can accelerate. I showed you light accelerator. It's right there. We accelerated light. We could slow light down. It's very simple. It's total nonsense that light is it's just a continuous one thing. And nobody's ever really come to a conclusion about the particle wave duality of light, which is very simple. It's just like a magnet going through the air, and everything out in the air is magnetic, because it's also electron flooded. Everything's flooded with electrons, so this got to push those electrons out of the way. That's simple. Now, mass is the impact value, but it is complex. Mass is not just the weight of the particle, because they all basically weigh the same weight. Every electron has the same weight. And 1,839 of them make up a proton. All right? Now, a photon is only two electrons together. As I showed you, I showed you the little box of them. That is a photon. Now, why are these babies in the center of the periodic chart? Why is this all over here and this over here? Because you're only supposed to have 8 valence electrons. A valence electron means the ones that can go way out on the outside. There's only 8 of them, and which always gives you that 2 here, 2 here, 2 here, and 2 here. It gives you, it's really the it's the shape of everything in nature. Basically, is built around that hex shape, which is 8 external electrons in the orbitals. Now, what's going on here? Why are these not even in there? What's going on? Well, these have holes down in here. Every other one in here and in here everything has to fill up in the middle before you get to the 8 on the outside. All right, just remember it that way, because there's layers. There's a couple of them here and real close, and then there's a few more out there, and then there's a bunch out there, and there's a whole big bunch out there, and then there's always 8 though on the outside. All right, and that's how they bond together. They hook up with these 8. They go 2 and 6 and 7 and 1 and like that, like salt, like NaCl. All right, that Na has 1, Cl has 7. That's 8. These are your noble gases, and they are filled, and they will not give up or take any in, so they're just outside the realm of what we're really talking about. They're just stable. Now, everything else can give and take. That's the nature of chemistry. So I'm going to try to make you understand electron flood theory, because there is nothing more than these electrons that exist. And I don't need extensive amounts of doodles to show this. Here's I'm just documenting it now. I used to do, I show this a lot, but I used to do doodles coming out of my ears. But I tried to figure out what they were always talking about, and none of them made sense. But I have a lot of doodles. I could doodle with the best of them. But now, all of this is right there. This is all you need. This is basically it. All right? The electron and the muon, which is the dark matter, the photon. Everything is push to shove. Whenever you push another thing against another thing, the harder you push, the more energetic value you have. The more energetic value, the more it glows. Muon never changes. The concussion of the muon is only, never changes after the concussion. It just stays the black ball. The muons only attract, therefore they are gravity. That's all they are, is gravity. Also, in my opinion, the muons are dark matter. And basically, that's the end of the whole story. It shows I've got some other stuff going on. Here's the free energy right there. That's all we got to do to make free energy. Menticide. Believe teachers or fail. Do as told and be quiet. Pay them to program you. Therefore, slaves, division, and it's generational. They divide up the population between who they call educated and who they're not educated. And if you don't go to them to get a piece of paper, you're not educated, and you're going to have a hard time. So I'm fighting back against this in every way I can to show you don't have to go to that. This is very simple stuff. And if you go there, all you're going to do is be programmed to think something that's not true. It's just not true anymore. And they know it's not true anymore, but they won't stand up about it. My mud fossil stuff is just undeniable. CAT scans, DNA, specimens, anatomists, chemistry, the processes are fully understood now. It's nucleophilic invasion, and this is part of that too. The transition metals stabilize biology in aqueous solution. Let's look at the transition metals, because they are the things that have the electrons in them that create these colors. That's where the colors come from. It's electron stickability, let's call it. Okay, you've all seen different colored rocks, red ones and all kinds, and opals and all that. Well, That's because they have different transition metals. Now, I'm not going to get too complicated because it can get very complicated. What you want to take away from this is these are all metals. You see them? You see all these different charges, +2, +3, +4, +7. Now, look at this. This is metal. M is the metal. It's one of these metals. Then it has oxygens and hydrogens and so forth, aqueous solution, and they bind to all kinds of other elements that are in transition. In other words, this is your blood. These move all the different things through your blood, giving and taking away from this metal complex. Now look at all these oxygens. What are we doing with all those oxygens? Well, you know that if you don't have oxygen in your body, you die pretty quick. That's what your lungs do, provide oxygen. Well, what does oxygen do? Oxygen obviously has a major role with the metal complexes, and the metal complexes are these transition metals that move through your body, delivering and picking up things. Now, here's what it says here. I'm going to try to cut to the chase. Like I say, this can get pretty complicated. Electrons can be moved between these higher and lower d orbitals by absorption of a photon of light. Right? That's why you see these different colors. In your body, it's a different situation, but it's still working with an electron. The wavelength of the light absorbed is affected by the size of the energy gap between the orbitals, which is in turn affected by the type of ligand, which is the attachment, and the charge on the metal ion. So, is this positive? Is it negative? What did it attach to? These are the energy levels. That's why they're different colors. The blue one is attached so tightly to the core that to get it out of there, you really got to rocket that baby away. And as it gets weaker and weaker and weaker, because it's not held so tightly, the red just sort of drifts off if it gets pulled hard enough or somebody wants to attach to it. So, but we also have like one right down there. So the rest of them wouldn't have that. A normal one wouldn't have that. It would only have the 8 on the outside. This one has it here. You can catch a couple of pinches. It's been a long time since I've done this, but what that is, just think of it this way. This is the transition metal area. This is living, moving blood, life. These are more stable, calcium and so forth, where it makes your bones, and silicon, and, other things that are more structural. Let's go with that. And these are more fluid driven. You always think of these metals as, iron is a big solid thing. Nickel, copper, cobalt, we all know that. No. In your body, totally different situation. They're in a non-stable form in your body, and that's why they give and take. And you need just exactly the right kind of things. And I've been doing this a long time. Like I say, I'm not bragging, but believe me, this is exactly what we're talking about here, right here. Oxidation, reduction, reaction. The electrons transfer between reactants. Oxidation, losing electrons, and some lose and some give, and this is the process going down. These are the type of, reactions that occur. And that's, I don't know what I did here. This is, like I said, it's a long time ago, but this is some formula. I forget why I did it, but what I'm getting at is, I got a little bit of an understanding about this, and now with the electron flood theory, I had to go back and look at everything again, because I now understand how everything attaches and detaches a lot better. And if my theory's right, then I have to be able to show that all these things are right. And so far, I haven't found anything that I can't explain. So that's where I'm coming from. If somebody wants to engage and debate and come up with something that I can't explain, I'm willing. Because literally any electronic activity, subatomic, light, heat, energy, cold, superconductivity, black holes, wormholes, I have no idea what they're talking about there. But a black hole, I understand that. It's just an intense amount of dark matter collecting inside of the gravitational field. So it gets so heavy that these particles that surround it no longer can push anything else away. It just keeps attracting, attracting, attracting. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But it is, they call them supermassive. Anyway, I hope that helps anybody, or if it doesn't help you and you want information about it, I'm hoping to do like a daily question and answer about the videos I do, because I do them pretty much daily. And they're almost always on something a little bit different, or quite often the same topic over and over, because I can't get anybody to listen to what I'm saying. So I'm hoping from an interactive standpoint where I can question and answer. Most people don't have a lot of questions. I don't say, all they can do is assault me and say, no, you're an idiot. And I don't like that, to be honest with you. And if unless you can come up with a good reason that I'm wrong, it's probably not a good idea to do it. Now, I'm going to just let it go at that for the moment here. But I'm hoping to engage with somebody that is in a soapbox that has a voice. I have no voice. What I say is between a handful of people, and that's it. So, if you don't spread this out and start talking to people and saying, you should pay attention, let's listen, let's debate, let's discuss. Right now, I'm pretty much shut off of anywhere where they talk about being a group of talking about discussion. That's Sabine Hofstadter, I believe her name is. She's saying all of the things I do is wrong, but I haven't heard back from her. And I haven't heard back from anybody that either just ignores or criticizes my work. None, zero. The only people I hear back from is people that just say, you're wrong, you're just wrong, this is crazy, you're a crazy person. No, I want to know why am I crazy. Detail my craziness, and then let's discuss it. And then if you can't prove me wrong, well, then I think it would be a good thing to start investigating the things that I'm talking about, which could easily lead to free energy. I mean, literally within weeks. I show this over and over, and nobody seems to have any interest whatsoever. A little demoralizing. All right, I love you all.